recording.
Let's start it in 3 minutes. Oh, okay. All right. Well, now we got to officially start.
Okay. It's just, what happens is I was looking for it and it just went on. So this is
welcome everyone. Welcome to the break room. My name is Jessica Riverson and my company is Permission to Charge. I work with coaches on charging their worth and creating packages that sell. And we have Monica Pelayo. Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Monica Pelayo, and I'm here from Madrid. Where were you guys at? You're in Seattle, right?
Yep.
Washington. And I'm a shadow expert. If you don't know what that is, you would know it maybe as an integrative coach, a life coach. So a life coach we work with the shadow. And Jessica and me decided, because we talk a lot and we talk about things that are going on with our clients and with ourselves, and we're like, God, we need some time to talk about all these amazing things about spirituality, about money, about things that we feel like our clients get stuck and where we get stuck. And we decided that we wanted to take the time to do that. And we said, well, let's share it with everybody and get some tips and inputs from each other and then from the people that are interested in this kind of conversations, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are welcoming you guys to the break room where we can chat about all kinds of different things that are going on with you as a coach, working with your clients, working with your own, mindset, growing your business, breaking through the stuff that gets in our way, right? From becoming a better coach, becoming a better business woman, all those type of things that can stand in our way. And why don't you introduce our topic for today?
Well, we called it the what did we call it? The light.
The gift. The gift.
The gift behind self-sabotage. Well, because me being a shadow coach, I find the biggest gifts when clients come to me and tell me, I don't know why I'm sabotaging this aspect of my business or in my life. And they come really upset, right? And the other day, Jessica and me were talking about it, and I was talking about the misconception there is behind self-sabotage and how when we feel that that's coming, instead of looking at it, we get really angry that we have that, whatever that is. We don't know exactly what it is. So we decided to just talk about it and, see our views, Jessica in her business and her with her clients, and me also, with my business and my clients that are, they're pretty much different, but at the same time, it really joins in the same answer, right, Jessica? We were agreeing.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I can speak to some of the business side. You can speak to the internal work that needs to take place, the spiritual side. So I actually took some notes because there is something I want to share about self-sabotage. So there's a guy who wrote a book called The Big Leap, and his name is Gay Hendricks. And it's a book that I've actually either given to my clients when they start with me, or I've said, you got to buy this book. And he talks about self-sabotage. He calls it the upper limit problem, where he says we all have this upper limit, and when we reach it, and it may look different for anyone else, but when you reach that upper limit, you start to sabotage. So the way he describes it is, maybe your relationship is like going really well, and then you start an argument, or your business is going really well, and then you get really sick, like you create, some kind of illness, or you create some kind of financial drama. And in his work, he's seen it over and over and over. So that's his niche. Like that's his specialty, is helping people break free of that. And it's such a good book because he really explains it in a way where it makes sense, where you can start to think back at times in your life where you might have done that, right? Like, I have a really good example. When I started my first business, which is a tutoring franchise, I had this big goal, and I wanted to sell $25,000 in 1 month of services. And I mean, I didn't do it at first. I was like into my third year of business. Maybe like I was like in year 3.5, and I finally did it. Like, I had a marketing plan. I followed it. I did it. I was the only person that sells the service, right? So I did all those sales, and I was so excited. I was so happy for about 30 seconds. And then I started like completely crying. My husband he was my boyfriend at the time. He was like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I was so emotional about it, that success. And what ended up happening is after that, my business went down, and it took me a whole year to get back to like get close to that level again. And I didn't know what was going on at the time because it was like around the time I was starting my coaching business officially. I got really busy with that. So I had all these perfect excuses like, oh, well, I'm really busy. I'm focusing on something else. So I had all these really logical, convenient reasons why I wasn't maintaining that other success. So what Gay Hendricks talks about in his book, that what's really sneaky, right? Because like we might get success, or we might get really close and then we get sick, right? And then so we don't necessarily think of it as self-sabotage. We're like, oh, then I got really sick and that took me out and or I had this thing in my relationship that happened. So we have these things that happen that they seem like they're the perfect excuses, right? Because, it doesn't make sense to just be like, oh, I'm self-sabotaging, right? Like if something's going on in your life, like some kind of drama, it's really easy to be like, oh, well, I didn't succeed because this thing happened. So in my mind, it was like, oh, well, all these other things were going on, so that's the reason. But I finally figured out what was going on. I was like, oh my God, that's my upper limit. Or in my money breakthrough certification, we call it a money set point, but you can call it whatever you want. It's like that point where the glass seal, like you hit the glass ceiling. Mm. So, I mean, that's my biggest, best example of how I recognize that I bumped up against that upper limit and I started sabotaging.
And that's like a really cool cool way to see it, but when people come to me and they tell me I think I'm self-sabotaging, it's because they already heard the word, or they, we read that a lot, like, are you self-sabotaging yourself? And so we go into judgment. And you see the clients that I've got, and in myself, they tell me, I'm self-sabotaging. So let's say that was true. The problem is what comes behind the thought that you're self-sabotaging. Now you're like totally out of compassionate mode to yourself, right? Now
the cycle deepens because you're like feeling bad about it.
Right, so now you're pissed off because you're an asshole because you're doing all this stuff.
You're like,
right?
I'm self-sabotaging, I'm so horrible.
Right, you're like thinking like, why am I doing this? Why do I hate myself? But what's the funniest thing? When you look at it as your shadow, or whatever you want to call it, however you know it, as a part of you that you don't like, the funniest thing is that you get to see a part of yourself. If you pay attention to it instead of hating it, you realize that when you feel that self-sabotage coming, it's a part of you that you created when you were younger. Yeah. Like something happened to you. Let's say you were shamed in school, and a part of you said, I will never do whatever I did in that moment because I will be shamed again. Mm-hmm. So I will not speak let's say, like I won't speak out loud, right?
Speak the truth or something.
Yeah, speak my truth, whatever, because I could be shamed. So then that went away because you put it as I'm never going to have that again happen. And then you grew up and you became an adult and whatever. So whenever you have, and we're in your business right now, this whole thing about being visible. And that was kind of my thing. Like every time that I was going to do something online or whatever, so something technical happened, I get a cough or, whatever it was. And I was like, why does this happen to me? And I see the sabotage, what we would call the sabotaging part of me being very loving because it wants to protect me that nobody shames me. Mm-hmm. Like it really treats you. That sabotage part of us really treats us like a kid trying to protect us and save us from having that bad experience. So in reality, that part of us is a very loving part that needs to be heard. And when you pay attention and you look at it as that loving part, you get to be the adult and look at it in the eye and say, I'm not scared of shame anymore, or I have to work on this part anymore. Just from that adult, you need to heal that part of it. Now, that's the part that when people come, that's the first conversation we have. But in shadow work, Debbie Ford, which she has an amazing book, I love because she was my mentor and coach. It's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
Yeah.
It's an amazing book. But Debbie, one of the things that really stayed with me all these years about having a commitment and an underlying commitment. So let's say your commitment is making $25,000 a month or having a six-figure business, right? Like and you already took the class, you read the book, you did, and you're like, I'm gonna go do it. Something happens, so we come up with the reason. It's like, well, I'm self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
What happens is that there's this commitment to make money, but there's an underlying commitment, which is the self-sabotage or the one that's taking care of you, that says, well, this is a stronger commitment to not be shamed in front of people. Yeah. So I'm not going to let you be visible. I'm not going to let you spend the money because of this, because it's trying to protect you. So to make it clear, you're in a diet, and you show everybody and you tell everybody that your commitment is to lose weight. So you're really excited and you're like, I really want to do it. I go to the doctor, you tell people, and everybody, we all believe you. You believe yourself that you want to lose weight. But that there's a commitment even stronger than that, which is I'm going to comfort myself with whatever it is when I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Or when I feel lonely. And that's a bigger commitment than losing weight. So imagine an iceberg. So we can see the top of the iceberg, which is losing weight. But the bottom is so much stronger.
Yeah.
So when you get to realize what's your underlying commitment, you're able to go, dive down.
That is big. I think that is so big. And I love how you explained it. I mean, that's everything. So basically, if we have a goal and we're not reaching it and it doesn't make sense, we're like, I'm doing the work, especially if it's like a business goal, right? Like you're building your coaching business. I'm doing the marketing. I'm trying to be visible. Like maybe I'm doing webinars. Like I'm putting my message out there. I'm trying to connect. I'm doing a lot of the things. And for whatever reason, it's not working. I'm getting stuck. The money's not coming in. Even maybe I'm doing the same things I did before, but I'm like, something's blocking. Then we have to look at what is the underlying commitment? Because obviously there's something else that subconsciously we're more committed to that. Right. We don't realize
not feeling something.
Yeah, we don't realize it necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, especially like things like getting sick or whatever. Like, I feel like that's something. It's really easy to be like, oh, I got sick, or oh, this happened to me. And we kind of feel like it's something like we're a victim to it, or like I got in a car accident, you know. But if we believe that on some level we create our reality, then we have to be like, okay, how did, like, if I am committed more to that what do you call it, the deeper commitment or the underlying
commitment?
Yeah, I'm more committed to the underlying commitment. I may not know it yet, but if I see these dramas keep happening, drama, then I can go, okay, what is the underlying commitment? And start to like look at that instead of focusing on like, I'm not getting to my goal. I'm not getting to my goal. Why am I not getting to my goal? Looking at the underlying commitment is like, it sounds like what you're saying is like, that's the first place to start.
Right. Like, what did I need that more? Now it sounds simple, but it could get a little bit crazy. Like you said, like a vicious cycle. Because
feedback loop, right? A feedback loop.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, if you look around in our coaching industry, we learn like, get out of the box. No, stay in the box, you know? Or, you know, if you said affirmations or look at your shadow, and there's so many tools and so many information, and we're constantly feeling like we're not doing it right, and we should be doing this, and we should be doing that. And that's why it gets a little into the, you know, thinking about it might be self-sabotage, it might be this.
Yeah, so you get in your head. You're like stuck in your head.
And instead of looking, what is the underlying commitment? Because let's say, for example, me, that I've always believed that I don't like to be that public, right? You know, you put a video on me and I'm like, I don't know what to say, right?
Which is so funny because you've been on TV.
I've been on TV for a whole year, right? You know, I've been on TV for a whole year. And I just didn't like it, you know, like the whole public thing and whatever. So I had to really look what was my underlying commitment, because it was really keeping me from doing videos, from, you know, and my excuse was, well, I don't know how to write very well. And it still is, you know, like I'm not a good copy person, whatever, you know. But then I looked at it and I said, what is my underlying commitment? So I had to kind of go back to when I was a kid, and I felt that this sort of, you know, putting myself out there to be judged or whatever it is that I thought when I was younger. I don't remember exactly, but I remember being judged a lot. And I'm going to tell you later on because I don't know who's listening, but I felt very connected with like family members and stuff. So I remember my mom, you know, like I would tell her like I don't feel very good, and she would think that I was sick or something because I was feeling sad or whatever. She's like, "Oh, are you feeling good?" She would like give me some tea and like cuddle me and whatever, right? So what happens in my mind when I am afraid or like I have to do all this stuff, and then I get sick, right? Like with a cough and whatever. I realize that part of me that we call self-sabotage just wants me to like go to bed, and the only time I'm going to go to bed and really take care of myself is when I get a little sick or a little tired or a little stressed. So that's why a lot of people and a lot of women in this industry that get sick or you know, just kind of don't feel like doing things because they feel like a little bit out of integrity, because, you know, they feel like so bad that they don't go and put themselves out there.
You're a coach because it's almost like I have to have it all figured out, or like I'm supposed to be perfect. I'm like supposed to be so evolved, right? Because if you're coaching other people, you want to be at a certain level of you've worked through your crap, you know?
Right, like credibility. Yeah.
But then the expectation becomes so high, like, oh, I have to have worked through all my stuff before I can, like, you know, work with anyone or help anyone. And that's really damaging too.
Well, think about it. Think about that as coaches. You know, we're all coaches, so we're kind of, you know, working in the light, because that's what we love about coaching. You know, you're in the light, and we're like, even though me being a shadow coach, I'm always in the light. You know, seeing the best of people. You know, just getting excited, falling in love, being present, right? Saying, you know, believing, having faith, whatever it is. So think about it physically, right? You know, the more light there is, the more visible your shadows will be.
Ah.
Because why? Because you're in a state of consciousness that helps you see your whole self. And that's when we freak out. That's when we're like, okay, we don't want to see it. So when we do this, we don't want to see the shadow. Then suddenly we stop getting discovery calls. We stop selling. And we're like, what? We're the experts, right? You know, like, because many of my clients are business coaches, and they get really freaked out when that happens. But when that happens, is what makes them masters on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the surfers, they don't become awesome when there's no waves. They're experts. So, like, if I'm a shadow expert, believe me, a lot of shadowy stuff comes in. If I work a lot with forgiveness, it's because that was the hardest thing for me. But I worked, and I keep working every day on that. And that's what makes me an expert on it.
It's kind of like that saying, you teach what you need to learn, you know, that whole thing. And
well, to an extent, because I don't know if you've seen it right now in this wave of coaching, it's kind of like, well, they speak of it as, you know, if they're true on experts and they're kind of still going through it, and that's what integrity.
Oh, I mean, and that's a whole other thing. It's like, have you worked through it enough to help someone make a change, or are you teaching something you truly haven't learned, but you're kind of wanting to say that you're there? And
right.
And that could be a form of self-sabotage completely.
That is a form of self-sabotage, and that's kind of why I bring it up, because what happens, self-sabotage is about not seeing your shadow.
Mm-hmm.
It's about not wanting to see it, but then you move to the light and the shadow gets, you know, darker and thicker. But to be honest, if you're into spirituality, and you and me, you know, love to read spirituality books, and, you know, we consider ourselves, you know, being students of spirituality in our soul and everything that excites us, and that's why we created this. But if you think about it, a lot of people that seem so spiritual and so in the light, in a way, they separate themselves from the rest of humanity. You know, it's like, oh, I love this light and whatever, but then there's these people that come and screw it up, right? You know, it's like they should be, you know, more spiritual. They should understand. They should be more conscious. They should be this. They should be that, right? So it's like a separation of self. And that is a huge shadow behind spirituality.
So you're saying, like, embrace the shadow, embrace part of the whole self-sabotage is to, like, look at the shadow, embrace it, because it's part of you and it's there to teach you something.
And it's there to help you connect with others more fully, more in integrity, more as one, as one. You can't be in the light and be one and not wanting to be with humanity. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying? That's what this whole separation thing in spirituality has a big shadow behind it. The part that they don't want to see, they see it as dark, they hate it, they just can't stand it. But the dark side, if you look at it, you'll see it's trying to protect you on some level, on something. And when you get to see it, it really gives you the gift to go back as a grown-up and make the transformation. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. We have some new guests here. I want to welcome Activate Strengths, Glam Brats. Welcome, you guys. We've got...
Welcome.
Tell us your names. Tell us your names, you guys. So we're talking about self-sabotage, especially for coaches, you know, solopreneurs, that kind of thing. I wanted to bring up, so earlier I told you I was reading a few things, and so this author, his name is Robert Firestone, and he calls self-sabotage the inner critical voice. And he says that it's a cruel anti-self. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi,
Rhonda. Welcome, Rhonda. So anyway, he talks about this cruel anti-self that we develop in early childhood, just like you said, and that we internalize the attitudes that are reflected to us by our parents, our caregivers. Like, so he gives an example. If your parent was like constantly worrying, constantly fearful, constantly telling you that like something bad was going to happen, then when you start your business, you might have fears about taking risks, right? Being a business owner is taking risks. So I think that's like really interesting that what you were saying earlier is like, for example, if we were shamed, right? Then we may not want to be visible on social media because we're like, oh, someone might say something bad, or
it'll make me relive that which hurt me, where I created that shadow.
Well, yes, absolutely. So what I also loved was, so you know Elizabeth Gilbert, right? She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. So she said, you need to learn how to select your thoughts just the same way you select your clothes every day. And she says it's a power you can cultivate. If you want to control things in your life so bad, work on your mind. That's the only thing you should be trying to control. I mean, I really like the first part of what she said. I think definitely we have to, I don't know if we need to control our mind, but I think we need to work on our mindset. And so that's why what you're saying about looking at the shadow is like, I don't think you necessarily need to control it. If you clear out that inner critical voice, like whatever it's saying, if you look into the shadow and you break through it, then that should fall away, ideally. Like as you work on it, it starts to get less and less and less to where it doesn't, it doesn't have a hold on you.
Well, and and I think that what she means in that book where it says to control itself, it's because if you do not use that part of yourself, that shadow part of yourself, it will use you.
Ah, yes. That's good.
I think that's why it gets controlled. So, it's just I had a photo shoot, I told you last week, right? So I was, really working on having a picture where it's myself and then there's my shadow self and there's the light. And people that look at it, they're like, oh, that looks scary. And I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, that does look scary, but that's the shadow. It looks scary, but in reality, it's always covering you. It's always like saving you, It's so, it really, because it doesn't know about being a oneness, right? And it doesn't know about having this faith and this light. It doesn't know about that. It's scared for you because it doesn't like to feel certain things. But when you look at it and you have this conversation and find the gift of it, it really pushes you to the light. Shadow always pushes you to the light because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, you were saying like not liking that feeling. Like that's what I was reading earlier is like, if you're sabotaging, that means like when you get to a certain level of success or something good is happening, that fear pops up of like, well, what if something bad's going to happen? Because maybe your parent always told you like something bad could happen. So then you create something bad to happen because it's almost like how good are you going to let it get? Like there's something uncomfortable in that feeling. So you'd rather create this other scenario that's actually more comfortable, and that's the self-sabotage. So what I was reading is that not only, looking at the shadow, but learning to sit with that feeling that's so uncomfortable, the thing that you're trying to sabotage, like look at it, explore it, feel it.
Yeah, ask it, what are you here to teach me?
What are you here to teach me? That's a great question.
What are you here to teach me? Because, like I said, it's a part of our childhood. See, we weren't born with shadows. We were taught shadows, and we created our own. This is good. In the race, if your race teaches you, right? Like, this is good. You're Mexican, like, you should be proud, or you're white, you should be proud, and you're black, you should be proud. all the stuff, and the other people are different and whatever. So like, you're like, ooh, so my dad doesn't like this people, so I don't want to be like this person, or I don't want to be like this person. So what did we do? We separated ourselves of ourselves. And what did we do later? We projected. So that's why we constantly feel we're separated from everybody else. And that's why it's so hard when we read these spiritual books, you know, on the Stream of Course in Miracles that says we are all one, you know, but our illusion and our kind of crazy thinking is that we're separated from everybody. But it all starts with being separated from who you are, your wholeness, your whole, it's cut, you know, I always give this example about, you know, when I was younger, you know, like when I saw like pretty women and like beautiful, like older ladies, you know, I was like thinking, I'm sure they don't poop. When I was a kid.
You don't go to the bathroom.
Like, I didn't even want to think about it, right? So it's kind of like doing that, you know, like people in the light, you know, it's like, we're so spiritual, we're so in the light, everything is wonderful, live the life you want and whatever, but we don't poop. You know, it's like, you're going to go to the hospital, girl, because that's part of your humanity. And we need to integrate it to become a healthy part of it. And now we're going to eat good food because now it became a healthy part of it, and we're going to poop very healthy, let's say. So, and those are hard conversations. They stink, but we have to have those conversations. And that's
the only way, like, you can't go around it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
That self-sabotaging, like, if you keep trying to be like, oh, I'm self-sabotaging and like, why am I doing this? If you stay in that place, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to actually address the underlying commitment, the root cause.
And see, what are you here for? You know, what are you here to teach me? Or what is your gift? You know, staying in the conversation, it's like, what is your gift? Well, I get rid of all your toxins. I get rid of all these things. You don't make the time for me. You don't look at me, and you don't want to see it in anybody else. And that is making you sick, girl. Right? So
the things we don't like about ourselves are the things that we have an opportunity to look at those things, because most likely we are self-sabotaging. If we're, you know, not healthy, or our business isn't growing, or the relationship isn't the way we want, it's like there's a way that we are sabotaging our success in that area of our life or our business. And so we have to realize that behavior is happening because there's something for us to learn. There is a gift in that, and we have to be present with it and ask it, what are you trying to teach me? What's the
and also another tool would be, what is the underlying commitment? Where the commitment stronger than making money? My commitment stronger than making money is I want to have more time for my life. I don't want to work that hard. I want to spend today, and I don't want to do anything, and I just kind of want to relax. But when you integrate that shadow part of it, you're going to find a way to have that, but with responsibility, not feeling guilty and not feeling shitty for, you know, blaming yourself for sabotaging yourself. But in reality, it just kind of wants you to pay attention. The shadow is when you're sabotaging yourself, there's a part of you, there's a sub-personality that needs your attention immediately. And if you don't know what your shadow is, look at the people the stuff you hate about them, or even things, because there's light shadows as well. You know, like, I could never do that. I could never be like Jessica, that she has like all her business, she had all this stuff, and I couldn't do that. And that's another shadow. That's a light shadow. But you will see it, and that's, you know, in shadow we call that projection, right? You know, like, you know, about projecting that which you don't see in yourself, or that you don't believe it existed in yourself. So we have that commitment, and what's our underlying commitment? Asking the part of that sabotaging self that we believe, like, what is it here for? What is their gift?
Yeah, I love it. Well, let's take a moment and try to open up. Can you open up one of the seats and let's see if we can bring someone on to say hello and introduce themselves. And
it's already open. So, is there anyone that?
Oh, it should be open. Okay. So we want to invite you guys in to say hello and introduce yourselves, and let's talk about self-sabotage as we're as business owners. How does that come up for you? So. I think all you have to do is just click on the open seat. And so we can invite, let's see, who do we have on here today?
Well, I know some people are new to Blab. Like Rhonda says, Blab. So they could just...
Rhonda, yeah, all you have to do is click on that seat. I can't remember how it looks.
Yeah.
Right now, what I'm seeing is open seat.
Yeah, me too. I can see open seat. And if you have any questions for Jessica or me on, for example, in your business that you feel that you're a little bit self-sabotage or that you keep doing something and it's just, you're taking the certain steps, but you feel you're not getting to that goal or you're not getting enough discovery calls or whatever it is that comes up, you're welcome to call in. And this is more of a relaxing place. It's not really a, hardcore coaching.
Yeah, and I just posted a link to the Big Leap book. If you guys want to, grab that book or take a look at it, I just posted a link. I've got it on my website actually. Mostly Primal Joy. Jody, welcome.
Yeah, let me see. Show color. Accepted. We're kind of new to Love as well.
Okay, so who do we've got coming in here? Is it Rhonda?
It's Active Strong. Yeah, Rhonda
Boyle. Hey!
Hi there, how are you?
Rhonda.
Good. Where are you coming in from?
I'm coming in from Oklahoma City.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I'm in Seattle. Monica's in Madrid.
Good to see you, ladies. Great show. Really appreciate what you're saying, and I am new to Blab, so it says call in over on.
Oh, call in. That's right.
Okay.
So anyway, I just wanted to say hello.
Oh, well, thanks for saying hello. So, what do you have any thoughts, any comments on self-sabotage?
Well, I am actually a coach, and I use a different methodology. I'm a StrengthsFinder coach. I don't know if you're familiar with StrengthsFinder.
Oh, tell us about that.
Well, it's a test by Gallup Corporation, and for $15, you can go and take it and find out what you're naturally gifted in. And so I coach people into being that instead of trying to be who they're not, which most of us end up, comparing ourselves to other people, or we judge other people based on, who we are. And so we get all caught up in all of that type of thing, because we want to be like that person, and we really can't be. We have to be ourselves. So that's where most of my coaching comes in. And my experience of self-sabotage is when people are trying to be who they're not. And I think you said it a few minutes ago, not Jessica. I don't see your name.
Monica.
Monica said it a few minutes ago that the competing commitment is.
Oh, we lost you a little bit.
Say again.
We lost you.
Oh,
now we can.
We lost you for a second, but now we can hear you.
I said, you mentioned, Monica, the competing commitment. And
are you covering your volume?
No.
Oh, it's kind of goes in and out.
Okay, hang on. Let me get, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Well, we can hear you now. It's weird. Like, we can hear you now, but then sometimes it'll go low. That's why I didn't know if you were putting your hand over something or.
It might be, so I'll not touch anything.
Like that is perfect. Yeah. So what was your experience? You were saying your experience with self-sabotage?
Yes, my experience of self-sabotage is that people are trying to be someone that they're not. And so because of that, they put off what they don't do well. It's an intuitive way of preserving energy. So if you, for example, taxes, I'm telling you that I will postpone taxes until April 15th, and I will beg my husband to put in an extension. And that's because it is so outside of my where my natural gifts are. You know, paperwork.
What are your natural gifts?
Well, in the StrengthsFinder world, we use them. We give them names. So I don't know. Have either of you done the StrengthsFinder assessment?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I've never done it.
But just for the purpose of everybody that doesn't really know about it, you could just, tell us how we would know that is.
Well, you take an assessment, which appears to be a personality test, but it's not. It's a talent test, and it actually gives names to your natural talents.
Very cool.
What is your natural talent?
Well, they have names. My number one talent is ideation. So my brain works like popcorn. I have got lots and lots of ideas. Not all of them are good, but if you wait about 12 seconds, I'll have another one. And so I'm in a brainstorming session. I'm really good at giving you new perspective if you're stuck. I can really get you unstuck quickly because my brain, the way my brain works, is it just pops constantly with new ideas. So that would.
I'm sorry. So is that, like, for example, when you think about your taxes, is it hard to, bring that popcorn?
I have to focus. In order to do my taxes, I have to have discipline, which out of 34 talents, that's my number 33. It's not in my wheelhouse at all. It requires focus, which out of the 34 talents, focus is number 22 for me.
Do you remember having a memory, because we were talking about self-sabotage earlier, about how when we're younger, it's kind of, we create that part of us and that shadow part of us. Like, when you were younger, did you have bad experiences maybe with your family, or when the taxes came, or when money was spoken, or something that gives you that, like, really nervous feeling where you cannot be creative and all this, like, amazing stuff you have?
Well, yeah, I think that I grew up in, I'm a little bit older than you ladies. So I grew up in a time period when mamas did not work outside of the home. And so my mother is a beautiful, just social butterfly. And, she did not work outside of the home as I grew up, and except, like maybe when I got into junior high school, and then she was a substitute teacher here, there, or yonder. And so my dad was the breadwinner. And so we did not talk about money. Money was I remember clearly one time I was counting pennies or rolling up nickels or dimes or something, we had collected them from somewhere. And so I rolled them up into the little, now you can go and dump them in the machine that counts out the money for you. But at the time, you had to painstakingly count them all out, and you had to roll them in these paper packages. I don't know if anybody remembers.
I've done it.
Okay, so my hands came out, like, literally the fingertips of my hands were black. And so I'll never forget
that experience. Like, when you guys were doing it, was there tension there or nerve or?
No, but I remember clearly coming over to my mother, and she looked at my hands and she said, "Oh my gosh, money is nasty." And so I had that sensation that money was dirty. And that has
your taxes, that happens. It's kind of a little.
Well, I've avoided money, forever. And so that becomes an area of, that I just don't want to deal with. And so
I think doing your taxes, that part about it not being in your zone of genius, that's fine. I mean, doesn't mean you should do your taxes. The part about procrastinating, like maybe hiring someone, or like that part of it could fall into maybe how we do self-sabotage. But I agree with you about the part that if it's not your strength, you don't have to be the one to do it. But since we know we do have to address money, we need to then empower ourselves to hire the right people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of what Monica's saying, and there's a little bit of what you're saying. It's like, it's both.
And also, we were talking about, like, when that kind of stuff happens, And just for a moment, June Roca, if we have time, we're going to take you. But you are in the right place because she was asking if she was in the right place. So
yeah, I think June can get in if she clicks on. Did you click on call in?
I need to accept her, so I was just kind of wanted to finish. To the just.
Well, you can bring her in, and she can talk in a few minutes if you want.
Okay, so I'll do that. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about, finding the gift behind the shadow. Hi, June.
Hi.
Hold on a second, we're gonna come to you. So, we were talking about the gifts behind the shadows, right? So this is like the whole purpose, the gift behind the self-sabotage, right? And the self-sabotage we talked about was the shadow part. So wouldn't it be awesome? Because I think, and you being a coach and having all this, genius information and how you are and, where you come from and all this experience you have, if you look at this part that feels so uncomfortable, the dirty part, whatever, and find let's just try, are taxes in the United States soon in April?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yay! So finding this opportunity that maybe, sometime this, in a few days, let's say you put, some candles around your paper, not a lot of candles because you have all this paperwork, whatever, and then you sit down next to it, right? And it represents all the money, that you've had, and it really represents all the money that you had, what you made, what you're going to pay, whatever. And really close your eyes and ask that part of you. Just say, what are you here for? What are you here to teach me? What is your gift? And just let's see what comes up, because what happens, and that's what I was telling Jessica, that whatever comes out of that, you're going to be surprised that that's your biggest strength as a coach, and that's what makes you the best coach with your clients, and that's why your clients leave so happy and so excited about it. But when you get to see that part of you, you're going to realize how you've had this gift that you've been kind of a little disgusted or afraid of or nervous about looking at it. And I think that's going to give you like a huge breakthrough, even with your clients and in your business. I think this is an awesome opportunity for you.
Well, thanks.
Does it sound a little bit of truth? Does it sound some truth to you?
Well, it's something that I've worked on for so many years, and I finally learned, I guess I've kind of learned why it is that I feel that way. And I've learned to, instead of trying to do it myself, I've learned how to wrap people around me to get it done.
Yeah.
Right. But it'd be nice to get the information directly from the source and ask it.
Right.
What are you here to? And believe me, you're going to get, and share with us. We have a group that we can invite them on our we have a Facebook group called the Break Room for Coaches in Facebook. If you want to check it out.
What's it called again?
The Break Room.
The Breakthrough.
Coaches. Yeah, for coaches. And
maybe Sonia can put a link. I put a link to my group as well, and we've got a couple different groups for coaches you guys can join. But I think what Rhonda's saying is have you read The Big Leap, Rhonda?
I have.
Yeah. So he talks about the 4 levels of genius.
Yes.
And staying in your zone of genius. So I think it's kind of like we're making that differentiation between your zone of genius and resistance toward, there's things in our life we have to do, taxes being one of them. So if we have resistance from doing that thing, we can go, okay, well, it's not in my zone of genius, so I'm going to delegate it. But then if something is resisting us from even delegating it and, just addressing it head on, then we know, okay, that might be, there's something for us to learn there.
Right.
So that's really cool. I'm going to look up, why don't you post your link, Rhonda, to your assessment that you mentioned?
Sure. It's not mine. It belongs to Gallup Corporation.
Oh, okay. I figured it's on your website though, right? Or
not yet. I have, I'm in a reconstruction. Let's just.
Oh, okay. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping in the call, Rhonda. Do you feel that you could take a little step and check on your shadow and share it with us later on to see what happens? What did it come up for you?
You bet.
Cool.
You
Well,
bet.
thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Well, we hope you come back, Rhonda, on the second and fourth Monday.
Okay, I followed you, so I'll get notice of that, I'm sure.
Oh, good. Okay, well, stick around. June, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Rhonda. Thank you for jumping in
June.
the call.
June.
Oh, June. Oh, yeah, June Roca.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to share my gifts.
Cool.
And
Awesome.
it's nice to know that you're coaches and that you have a Facebook group. I'll visit that as soon as I can.
So yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
we would love to hear your gifts, and we would love to hear about because so we can stay in the topic about your experience on self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. Okay, I thought my gift is into cooking because after I stopped eating vegetables only, as I was a vegetarian for 29 years, I then tested cooked vegan, raw vegan, fruitarianism. Then I was diagnosed with cancer. And now I healed myself of cancer without chemo and radiation. And now I really think my greatest gift is to heal myself. And I thought, it sounds familiar, so I should really be a coach. So that's my gift.
So
Yeah.
are you right now starting this whole process to become a coach?
I graduated about 2013 at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition.
And you're a raw food coach?
I my niche is really in the food field, but you have to realize that after I was diagnosed of cancer, when I was in a raw food diet, I embraced meat, and then I went fat. I created an ebook, My Food and Weight, where I journaled what I ate and what my weight is for 1 month and lost 9.3 pounds.
Wow.
And then I tested food again and did a 21-day sugar investigation. And I made an ebook out of that and what I found out. And this is about sugar and how my mind reacted to sugar. In other words, what my cravings are, what my fears are, these different things like sugar-free yogurt or not sugar-free. These are stress points for me, which I did not realize. And I talked about that in my ebook. Yeah.
How does this relate to self-sabotage? Like, is that something you see with your clients?
You see, self-sabotage for me is when I looked at self as it is that I have a real self and I have a mind self. The mind self is the one that's kind of sabotaging my real self. And that's when I get into doubt whenever I'm looking for either sugar-free or yogurt with sugar, because for some reason I have all this information that sugar is bad. And so I get into this reaction whenever I go to, for example, Yogurtland, and I see the sugar-free yogurt not there. I'm like, I'm in a little bit of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, hang on a minute, it was here, but are you going to get it? And so I can see.
Let me interrupt you for a second, just so I'm clear. So you feel that self-sabotage, it's the part of your mind that is talking to you, but do you feel sometimes that when it's talking to you, you're really not paying attention? It's just because it's too much, you can't really focus on one thing? Is that what it is?
What I see is going on is that within me, I'm split within myself, like sugar with sugar or sugar free. In other words, what I saw is that I did not see that sugar comes from the sugar cane plant. I saw the information, the conflicting information that I have that is either positive or negative, someone demonizing sugar. Let's say, for example, Dr. Lustig, he stand on sugar, it's a poison. Then someone else will come and tell me, hey, but stevia is good. I mean, and I say, well, stevia is good, but Dr. Lustig did not say stevia is good. You know what I mean? And so
I think it's a perfect metaphor. It's a perfect metaphor, really.
Right.
It's like, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is good.
And that's what we were
Right.
talking about earlier about, like we have so much information out there. We have so much information and our mind gets so filled with information that we get confused. And in this case, it's like if I eat sugar or not, or if I, make the phone call or not, or if I do my taxes or not, and that's what happens when we're afraid to look at something. Like you're afraid, of whatever it is, about your health or whatever it is that your fear is, right? But usually that happens when we're thinking about the future or we're thinking about the past.
yes,
When we're thinking about the future and the past, we don't have the opportunity to look clearly at our shadow or at our light or our wisdom. So whatever it is that you're going through when you self-sabotage or when you feel afraid or if I want to have sugar or not, the best place to go is to the present. And I know that's easy to say, but just kind of recognizing that this fear and this sabotage and this confusion happens when you think about the future or when you think about the past. So when you go to the present and you don't have information or your wisdom or your light, then ask your shadow, right? The fearful part, and say, what is it that you want to teach me? What is it that I don't trust myself and that I'm trusting the future or the past or what doctor this says or what doctor that says? Because what happened is that, a lot of people, for example, don't eat meat. And
right.
and some people, I live in Spain, in Madrid. So you tell somebody, it's like you don't eat meat, they're like, oh, what is wrong? You're going to get sick. You're so pale. You're so yellow, and you're like, what? And they teach you and they show you how meat is awesome and the ham. And because doctors literally, when my kids are sick in their stomach, they're like, oh, okay, well, just take away this, take away this. You could give them ham, but like that ham, the big leg of ham, the ham thing. And I'm like, really? He's sick? And they're like, yeah, that's good for them, So in different cultures, there's different information. There's all this, sometimes, the speak with positive language, which is completely awesome and it works, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do something else. So it really doesn't matter what are the tools that you're getting or the information. What really matters is who you are in the moment. If you're really present, if you're really asking yourself and trusting that part of you that could be shadowy or light.
Trusting that you have the answer.
And asking. We don't stop and ask ourselves. We call somebody and we read a book. We take a course, which it all works and it's awesome. But I think that the people that are here in this community that we have, I think we've read it all and we've taken tons of courses and we want to share our gifts because we really got out of that. But we've forgotten to ask ourselves and trust ourselves on what it is that we need in the moment. What part of us are we denying, or what part of us are we not paying attention? So this is a great analogy, and more because coming from you, that you cured yourself from cancer and you still doubt yourself. You know, you still doubt yourself if you should do this or if you should do that. Like, you will feel it, and more because the healthy part of you, your healthy cells, are constantly talking to you. And it'd be great that you give yourself this opportunity to like really listen to the teacher within you. And this is a great opportunity because now that you're a coach, or that you're becoming a health coach, or, you know, an integrative health coach, or whatever it is that you call, what did you say you were?
A health coach, yeah.
A health coach, so an integrative health coach. So what an awesome opportunity that you get to discover, based on your experience of healing cancer, if sugar is good, or what type of sugar, or whatever. You're going to have this is going to be new information for all of us. So when you give yourself that opportunity, when you're like in this, you know, place like sugar, no sugar, doctor this, doctor not, it's your opportunity to like really center yourself and think, oh, I'm the next teacher that will teach everybody about the truth about sugar, or whatever it is that you discover. But you're going to get to go in because you're the one experiencing it. So we really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
So does it sound a little bit truth for you?
Yeah, because what you said is very interesting. You embrace that fear, you know, because that fear really has a gift for you. And that's what I did. Because if I fear cancer, I know that there exists within me fear of death and fear of sickness. So what I do is I redefine the word death, because death for me is really something that that is so huge. I don't even know how it's going to happen, what's going to happen. So I redefine it and I say, hey, I'm here as that breath and I remain. So what is it that I'm fearful about? So, yeah.
If you were experiencing life, yes.
Yeah.
Like you forgot to experience life thinking that you were going to die. But then when you realized, when you embraced it, you're like, what am I really feeling? What am I so scared of? And that's when you got the information, well, we don't know, because you're breathing and you're experiencing and you're like, great. So you cured yourself. So it's I just forgot that I'm breathing, because I'm always in my mind chatting away. It's something like I have 5 chats all in one with these 5 different personalities that I have. One desiring something, one fearing something, one blaming someone, you know, and you just have to say, stop, breathe. You are here. And then you ground yourself, and then you live life and you say, so that's just the mind me trying to process information. If I redefine these words, well, you know, I come to see, like, for example, sugar cane is a plant. Why am I reacting to that? Because it was refined. Who refined it? The humans did. So what I'm not supposed to just react. I'm supposed to heal myself, and in this wholeness of seeing the plant as equal to who I am, as, you know, dust to dust. We all came from the earth. The sugarcane plant will go back to the earth, and then we are equalizing ourselves, and within this equalizing, we come into wholeness, and then we come to realize we are one and equal as all. And that, to me, is where the healing came from. I realized I'm judging all these different food items as bad for me. Meat is bad for me. When I became vegan, I judge vegetarian food as bad. When I became fruitarian, I judge vegetables as bad. And then I actually investigated 3.5 days of not eating, because I thought, if it's not eating,
if it's not eating healthy, well, it must be not eating. No, but it's just my mind trying to process all this, and I'm drawn to this one corner. Now I might not be able to even enjoy socializing with my friends and family, and I don't want to be there. That was after my cancer, when I tried not eating and drinking.
Well, but
And
you're in a I think now you're in a place where, and I think that the best place to go to when you have these 5 conversations with these 5 people, that just notice that these people, some of them are in the future, some of them are in the past. And your best wisdom came in the present when you realized, I'm not going to judge people that are vegetarian or that eat meat or anything, because I'm whole and they're whole, right?
Right.
All right. Well, thank
Totally.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
For you, June.
Thank you, guys.
Go ahead and join the Facebook group that we just created.
Okay. What's it?
You can also, I know Monica and I each have our own individual groups as well. So you got 3 choices. And we can continue this conversation in our group. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So the 2nd and 4th Monday. If you follow the Break Room for Coaches, which is right above Monica, if you follow that, then you'll be notified in 2 weeks when we're back on. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, we can continue the conversation in the Facebook group.
What's your Facebook group?
So did Sonia post the Break Room for Coaches group?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, this is my group that you can join. We also have. Where's the link for the other one, Monica?
On top
for the Break Room.
It says the Break Room for Coaches.
That's the name of it.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Grab the link for you guys.
The
Break Room for Coaches. Let's see here. I don't see it is it a Facebook group?
Well, we'll go ahead and send it to them. Can we send it to them?
Where's the link for that? I don't see it in Facebook.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Well, we just created it. We just created it, June. So.
But
go ahead. You can join my group, and then as soon as we get that link, I can post it in there as well. And then you have another group as well, Monica.
Yeah, we'll have her. She could go into your group, and then we'll go ahead and send her, because I have I have to go around the computer to do that right now.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here. And June has a group too, Health Coach Support Group. Okay, great. I will check that out as well. Cool.
Thank you.
Health Coach Support. Okay, well, bye everybody. Thank you so much. We're going to be back. Let's give them the date, Monica. We're going to be back on... I'll get my calendar out here.
I don't have my calendar. And I'm going to be...
Okay, we're going to be back on, what is it, March 8th? Is that right, Monica?
I think so. Let me...
That's the 2nd Monday in March. Yeah, so we'll be back on March 8th. 10 a.m. Pacific.
Yes, I will be in Costa Rica, so it's going to be, let's see what is there.
That'll be fun.
And we love when you guys participate and ask questions, because it makes it like more, breaky roomy.
Thank you guys. It was so much fun. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.